17 when I got drafted out of high school, and I'll never forget, I was in my baseball coach's classroom and I got a little pink slip before they had internet and cell phones, and they told me to come to the office, and they told me that Mr. Art Stewart had called. He was like a second dad to me, and told me that I was drafted by the Kansas City Royals. The last 2 months has been the hardest 2 months of my life. My father was diagnosed with esophageal cancer on New Year's Eve, and growing up, my dad, he's always been my hero, and people ask me what got you through the tough times, and why did you play the game of baseball so hard, and quite frankly, I did it to make my dad proud. And he's up the street at the Mayo Clinic getting chemo and radiation right now as he's fighting for his life. And I was with George Brett yesterday when I got the news from Kurt, and to receive that news with George, the face of this organization, and the first thing George told me is call your dad. And to call my dad as he's going through his hardest time, it was such a great gift. So how did I get from being a catcher to a Royals Hall of Famer? Number one, it was just a love for my dad and my mom, and I always shared the story about my dad was a minor league ball player with the California Angels when he found out my mother was pregnant with the first of 8 children, and he hung up his spikes to go drive a beer truck in Southern California, and to be brought into that family and raised in that family and be taught. I remember as a 9-year-old boy, I hit a ground ball to second base and was upset that I was going to most likely be out, and I kind of half-heartedly jogged to first base. My dad grabbed me by the jersey and said, if you ever dog it like that again, you're not going to play baseball anymore. So how did I come from a guy that was not a great catcher my first few years in the big leagues to this? A lot of hard work, a lot of perseverance, never quitting. I was told in 1999, I had a 0% chance of being a Kansas City Royal. I was going to either be sent down, I was going to be traded, released, and God had other plans for me. And Dayton, or I should say the Glass family, had other plans for me. So the last 2 months have been the hardest 2 months of my life, but to receive this news on a day like this is it's the greatest news that a young man could ever ask for. People like Dan Quisenberry, whose number I proudly wear, and Jeff Montgomery, who was one of the greatest teammates ever, and Kevin Apier, and of course George Brett and Frank White. I mean, it's very humbling, and there's no doubt that this will be the greatest honor that I will ever receive post-retirement. Hardest time of my life, but every time you go through a hard storm in life, at times you need a glimpse of sunshine, and I feel like this is it. And I'm hoping and praying it'll give me strength to get through the summer, and hopefully my dad too. Hopefully in July or August, the day that I get to go into this incredible Hall of Fame, that I'm praying my dad and my mom will be there with me.